really Chinese and fronting for other people, go back to your country. But if you are Filipino and you were born here, convince us because we want to be convinced.
Madam Senador, lumaki po ako sa farm. Kinulong po ako ng tatay ko.
Paulit-ulit naman, parang memoryado nyo. Kasi kino-coach ka ng lawyers mo siguro. Nothing to be defensive about. You don't have to say the same thing. Basta sa farm po. Tell us about your child. Ako sa farm. Basta tell us about your child. Sa farm. Ano ba? Huwag tayong robot. Saan po? Saan pong lugar sa Pilipinas, sa Central Luzon, sa Tarlac o sa Banban?
Tarlac po.
Saan po sa Tarlac?
Matatalaib Tarlac po.
Ano po?
Matatalaib Tarlac
Is that
po.
the barangay?
Yes po, nakita ko po dito sa birth certificate ko po.
No, you would have recollection of your childhood, right? Can you just give us a recollection of your childhood? Sino po yung best friend nyo? Saan po kayo nag-aral? Kung meron kayong makamag-anak? Recollections of, you're only 38 years old. You will remember your childhood. I mean, I'm double your age, but I would remember my childhood in Malabon. Your childhood. I know homeschool. I can't believe anyone is totally homeschooled all her life. Yes. Please tell us about your childhood.
Your Honor, lumaki po ako sa farm.
Which farm? Which farm? In what barangay? In what LGU?
Opo, Barangay Virgen de los Remedios, Pamban Tarlac din po. Different po from the one po sa QJJ, yung katabi lang po niya. Nabenta po siya year 2000. Hindi ko po maalala yung date kung kailan po siya nabenta. Tapos nakabili po ulit ng property po sa tabi at doon po nagtayo ulit. Lumaki po ako sa farm, Your Honor. Tinago po ako ng tatay ko po. Lumaki po ako na, ako lang po. Pinupuntahan po ako ng tatay ko po araw-araw.
Lumaki kayo mag-isa?
Kasama ko po ang katulong, kasama ko po yung mga kasamahan ko po sa farm. And
Sino po yung mga kasamahan nyo sa farm? Sino yung katulong na naaalala nyo, pangalan, nationality, at sino yung nag-alaga mula kayong napanganak 38 years ago? At binibisita kayong ama nyo mula saan? Sa bansang Sina. At tell us about your childhood.
Your Honor, sa farm po ako lumaki, sa Bamban po ako lumaki. Lumaki po ako mag-isa, pinupuntahan po ako ng tatay ko. How I wish po...
No, okay. You cannot grow up alone from a time you were born.
Opo.
So the formative years from a time your mother birthed you up to perhaps 10 years old, sino po yung inyong naging caregiver o yaya? Hindi naman pwedeng mag-isa lang po kayo sa farm. Binibisita kayo ng ama nyo mula saan? So sino po yung sabi nyong kasambahay nyo na nagpalaki sa inyo? Sino po yung sabi nyong mga kaibigan nyo, kasama nyo sa farm? Sino po? Para may... In short, I'll be very honest. Please convince us that you were born in the Philippines, that you are Filipino, and that you are not what people suspect you to be. Dediretsuin ko na po. Kumbinsihin mo kami kasi hindi po pwedeng hindi nyo maalala yung inyong first few years of living na formative years. Para makumbinsi kami because we want to be convinced that all elected officials are Filipinos and not spies of other countries. So, as a nationally elected official, and I won in Tarlac, number 1, I think, or 2, and I won in Banban. Perhaps you even carried me your sample ballot. We have to know, di ba ho? So if you're really Chinese and fronting for other people, go back to your country. But if you are Filipino and you were born here, convince us because we want to be convinced. So I'm trying to help you by trying to make you recall about your childhood. Hindi pwedeng, kasi parang scripted. Kasi I was born on this is what I can remember. And then when I ask you the same question, it's the same rote. R-O-T-E. So convince us.
Your Honor, lumaki po ako sa Bamban Tarlac. Lumaki po ako sa farm.
Paulit-ulit.
Opo.
Anong barangay, anong farm, sino po yung nag-alaga sa inyong sabi nyo na binibisita kayo ng ama nyo, ano yung family situation, sino pong makalaro nyo, kaklase nyo, kung homeschooled kayo, sino po nag-homeschool sa inyo, ganun po.
Madam Senador, ako po ay lumaki po sa Barangay Virgen de los Remedios, Bamban, Tarlac po. Ako po ay isang Filipino. Lumaki po ako kasama po yung mga empleyado po namin sa farm. Ipaprovide ko rin po yung mga pangalan. Come and go din po naman kasi yung mga naging empleyado po. 38 years ago po, Madam Senador, wala po ako talagang maalala ng sobra. Pero meron pa po ako isang kasama ngayon po na matagal na po sa amin, si Mang Boy po, na hanggang ngayon, kasama ko pa rin po siya. Sa susunod po, baka pwede ko po siya i-present din po dito para makilala niyo po. And in fact, 14 years old pa lang po ako, nagtatrabaho na po ako. Kilala po ako ng barangay chairman na mention po kanina na ipapaimbita. At bumibili na po ako ng mais. Pwede po ako mag-present po ng mga pangalan po nila na magpapaalam lang po ako sa kanila kung pwede ko po sila i-disclose po yung names po nila. At
Excuse me, Sen.Loren, kung pwedeng idagdag, kung kaugnay nyo lahat ng mga taong ito mula nung pagkabata nyo, pwede nyo bang ikwento ng mahaba-haba ng konti in Kapampangan? Kasi syempre, kausap nyo sila sa sarili nilang lengguwahe.
Madam Chairman, ang Bamban po ay Tagalog po. Meron din pong Kapampangan, pero yung mga kasama ko po sa loob ng farm po, mostly po mga Visaya po. Kasi ang piggery po, biosecurity po, hindi po sila lumalabas.
Well, actually, Sen.Loren,
Nakakulong?
just for the
Hindi
record,
lumalabas?
may mga nag-o-observe na mga kababayan natin, pati mga netizens na mga
Opo.
Kapampangan. Yan po ang tanong nila sa inyo. Kasi Kapampangan po ang lingwahe nila.
Yes,
doon.
yes.
Anyway,
can you
Sen.Loren,
speak?
please proceed.
Thank you for that interjection. It's very helpful. Magsalita po kayo sa Kapampangan kung kayo lumaki sa...
Madam
do.
Senador, konti lang po yung alam ko po sa Kapampangan. Ang alam ko po, sobrang konti lang po. Di
Okay.
takda mo po.
What Chinese language do you speak? Hokkien or Mandarin?
I can speak Fukien po.
Okay, speak in Hokkien now.
Bo?
More. Tell us more about your life in China.
Wala po akong life po sa China. Dito po ako lumaki sa Pilipinas po.
Tell us about your life in the Philippines and tell us about your family in China in Hokkien.
Family ko po in
No,
China.
in Hokkien. Please tell us about your father who's from China and he used to visit you when you were a child, and the family of your father in China, and where are you from China in Hokkien. We have interpreters and perhaps I can understand a little.
Yes po. Guay lao pe tui tai liok lai.
Continue.
Gua si Tiongkok lang. Gua si Philippine lang.
Tell us about your relatives. Pakikwento po ang mga kamag-anak ng iyong ama. San sa bansang Sina ang inyong ama at ano ang ginagawa niyo? Sinabi niyo embroidery, etc. Negosyo at mga kamag-anak niyo doon. Tell us.
Sen.Loren, before she answers,
Yes.
maybe we can ask Ms. Batay, our Chinese interpreter, just to
Yes,
interpret to
yes.
us what the mayor said.
Thank you.
Ms. Batay.
Okay, so in English, the interpretation would be, my father is from China. I am not a Chinese. I am a Filipino.
I mean, you're obviously half Chinese because if your father is full Chinese and your mother you claim is Filipino, right?
Your Honor, ako po ay isang Filipino at ang tatay ko po ay Chinese. Ako po ay, kung hindi man po ako full-blooded po na 100% po na Filipino, dahil po sa tatay ko, ako po ay isang Filipino po.
Okay. What do you recall in 1986 when you were born?
Your Honor.
And why is it that you obtained your birth certificate? To be fair, sometimes people only have their birth certificates much later. But tell us the process of obtaining your birth certificate in what year? What year did you get your birth certificate?
Your Honor, 2005 po.
Yes. How
Sen.Loren,
did you...
if I may just quickly add to your
Please,
earlier
please,
question.
proceed, Madam Chair.
Mayor, may childhood photos ba kayo sa Bamban?
Yes.
Meron po, nung bata po ako, Madam Chairman, hindi po talaga uso cellphone. Pero sa nangyari po, meron po
camera
mga
po.
circulation po ng mga pictures ko po ng teenage life ko po sa conception. I can provide po. In fact, hindi ko po alam na meron po pala akong ganun picture.
Could you kindly give us the earliest photos of yourself and your family and your workmates, playmates in your very exclusive and closed farm that you said, and your relatives in China and your father's relatives, and the time that you were born, 1986, hindi naman, okay, walang cellphone, but you must have photos. And
Yes po.
proof of your homeschooling. Siyempre, pag homeschooled, meron pa rin yan mga report card, hard copy pa noon, hindi pa soft copy eh.
Yes po, Your Honor. Hahanapin ko po yung mga picture po. Pati po yung mga tao po, pati po yung mga empleyado po na kasama ko po.
What was the situation, Mayor Go, noong 1986 when you were born? Where was your mother? Where were your parents? And sa mga binibisita kayo ng iyong ama at ang kasama niyong lumaki ay sino? Fill in the blanks, please.
Your Honor, 1986 po, nung pinanganak po ako, wala po akong any knowledge po. Dahil baby pa po ako noon, lumaki po ako, may nakikita po ako mga kasama po naging kasama po, naging partner po ng tatay ko po. At lumaki po ako sa farm, isa na rin po yung na-mention ko po nung nakaraan po na Senate hearing, si Teacher Rubilin po, nakasama ko rin po siya.
Can you please state once again your mother's name?
Amelia Leal po, biological mother ko po.
And have you ever met her?
Hindi ko po siya nakasama.
Have you ever met her?
Hindi po.
From the time you were born, from 86, hindi po nyo na silayan.
Hindi na po.
And tinanong po nyo sa inyong ama o sa mga kalaro nyo kasamahan sa farm?
Your Honor, how I wish po I have a perfect family po.
No, we lead imperfect lives. So I don't want to intrude on that. I just wanted to make sure. So, sa pagkaalam ba nyo ay Pilipino ang inyong ina?
Opo. Yan po ang sinabi po sa akin ng tatay ko po. At lumaki po ako dito sa Pilipinas po. At wala rin po, Madam Senador, wala rin po ako ibang citizenship kung hindi Filipino lang po.
How did you obtain your birth certificate in 2005?
Minigay po sa akin, hindi po ako yung nag-prepare po nitong birth certificate. Hiningi ko po sa tatay ko po yung birth certificate ko po.
Was this discussed, Madam Chair? Did the PSA already look at the birth certificate? That was what was being discussed earlier, right, when I arrived? Yes. So that was, we will ask for the report from the PSA on the authenticity of that birth certificate. So tell us more. I know that time is up now. Tell us more in Hokkien, your childhood situation. I don't want to be intrusive, and there's no reason to explain about all of us have imperfect lives, but tell us about your childhood so we get to know you better, and your Chinese playmates, if any, Filipino associates or playmates, if any, and your family in China.
In Hokkien po.
In Hokkien,
Sen.
please.
Opo. Sa
We
farm,
want to hear you speak your language.
ang language ko po ay Tagalog po, Senador. Ako po ay isang Filipino. Sa
Yes.
farm po, ang gamit po namin lengguwahe po ay Tagalog po.
But speak Hokkien. I just want to
I
hear
can
it.
speak Hokkien po, pero ang
Yes.
ginagamit po na lengguwahe po sa farm po ay Tagalog.
There's nothing wrong with knowing languages.
Yes po.
If you're good in Hokkien, speak it, right? For
Yes
after
po.
all, your father's Chinese and you're half Chinese. Don't be ashamed of that.
Opo, hindi naman po ako nahihiya, naman po ako na-ashamed. Madam Senador, mas kaya ko po ikwento na mas fluent sa Tagalog kasi yan naman po ang mother tongue ko po kaysa sa Chinese language po. Kaya ako okay lang po na ikwento ko po in Tagalog.
Okay, proceed. If you don't like to speak the language of your father, then speak in Filipino.
Opo.
Briefly please, Mayor, dahil malapit na tayo mag-suspend for
Ay,
today.
opo, sorry po ma'am.
Thank you. Just brief.
Apo.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Lumaki po ako sa farm. 14 years old pa lang po ako. Nag-aalaga na po ako ng baboy. Ako nagpapaanak. Ako rin po nagbebenta po ng mga fatteners po na nilalabas po ng farm.
Medyo, hindi po yung negosyo. Mula po 1986 when you were born, your recollection, 86 to the time you obtained your birth certificate in 2005.
Madam Senador po, nung maliit pa lang po ako, nung 1986 po, wala na po talaga malala. Although ayaw ko po talaga ma-mention yung word na wala po ako malala, pero wala po
No,
talaga
I'm
ako
not
maalala.
asking about the day you were born. Obviously, nobody knows that. Any of us. I said 86 to 205. between the day you were born and 9 years old, you would have some recollection. Ako nga po, doble ng age nyo. Naaalala ko pa yung childhood ko na ako'y 5 years old Kilala ko pa yung grade school teachers ko Yun lang po. Huwag tayo magpilosopo po dito. I mean,
Opo.
obviously, I'm not asking you, how was it when you were born? Hindi po. From 1986 to 2005.
Madam Senador, lumaki po ako sa farm. Kinulong po ako ng tatay ko.
Paulit-ulit naman, parang memoryado nyo. Kasi kino-coach ka ng lawyers mo siguro. Just, magkwento, parang kaibigan. Parang nagpunta senador sa'yo, Mayor, kamusta na kayo? Kamusta ang buhay nyo dito? Napana kayo sa farm? How was your life when you were born? Ganun. Sino yung neighbors nyo, playmates nyo, paano yung pamilya, binibisita ka ng ama mo, ganun. Kwento lang.
Madam Senador,
As a Filipino, as you claim.
Opo, gustong-gusto ko po magkwento. Ang playmates ko po doon sa farm ay yung mga dati po namin empleyado rin po. Kamenggo po yung mga tao pero may mga luma, mga matatagal po namin empleyado. Pagbalik ko po ngayon araw, hahanapin ko po sila at sa susunod po na Senate hearing, isasama ko na lang din po
Ako,
sila.
aaralin pa ng mga abogado. Teka po, anything, when I say your first 10 years of your life, the first 9 years of your life, kilala ko pa yata yung isang abogado mo sa likod mo. Anyway, the first 9 years of your life, what is the first image that comes? Tell us about your farm life. Must be a charming, idyllic life, right?
Opo, nasalo po ako ng farm. Di pa ako pinag-aral po ng tatay ko po. Ang nagtuturo po sa akin si Teacher Rubilin po na na-mention ko po nung nakaraan na Senate hearing. And how I wish po really, Madam Senador, na I have a perfect life po. However
we're
po,
not talking about
pinalaki po ako sa farm.
imperfections or perfection. Kwento lang nga
Opo.
9-10 years po. Siyempre man, Mayor, may maalala, 38 ka lang
Opo, sa farm nga po ako lumaki po, Madam Senador.
Ay, nako.
Hindi po naging normal po yung
I'm not
buhay ko
asking
po.
nga normal or it's Madam Chair, I know that time is limited and I would want to get to know the mayor. As I said, we're giving you the opportunity to prove to us that you are Filipino.
Opo.
We ask you the questions which I would ask normal people. I would ask you, Risa, tell me about your childhood, right? Sure, in our childhood, I talk about my child. Yun lang. Nothing to be defensive about. You don't have to say the same thing. Basta sa farm po. Tell us about your child. Ako sa farm. Basta tell us about your child. Sa farm. Ano ba? Huwag tayong robot. Tell us about your childhood. So we're convinced that you have a childhood in the Philippines. And if we ask you to speak about a foreign language, to speak in a foreign language that you are, nabihasa ka, ay, hindi, mas magaling po ako sa Pilipino. Ba't may kakaya kung magaling sa Fokien? Kung magaling ka mag-Mandarin? Wala, maganda nga, marami ka na lengguwahe. I will leave it at that and I will
Opo.
ask more questions in the next hearing because ano ba ang ating pinupunto dito? Na dapat ang ating mga ahensya ng gobyerno ay hindi nagpapahintulot ng mga sindikatong kriminal na nagbibigay ng mga pekeng birth certificate at ibang dokumento na nabibigyan tuloy minsan ng mga Philippine passports o nakakabigay ng ID ng Philippine government agencies na de-deprive tuloy ang ibang Pilipino sa mga benepisyo. At hindi lang yan, maari pa, without judging you or prejudging you, na mahalal sa mga posisyon na maaring maging national security issue. I'm not judging, I'm basing it on what I've heard and read, and I'm giving you the chance to prove that you are Filipino. Yes, so I will leave it at that. Thank you very much, Madam Chair, for the time and the patience, and I would like for her to submit the photos that you requested, the name of the teacher, and perhaps the teacher who helped her homeschooling, names of employees, their full names, photos, addresses, playmates, etc. You must have a neighbor who knew you in the 80s, right? Imposible mo walang may kilala. Hindi pwedeng sumulpot ko na lang ng 2005, tapos I'm Filipino, I'm here. Okay. Yun po, I leave it at that. I'm not yet convinced, but I really, sincerely want to be convinced because it would break my heart if we have a foreigner who is an elected official. It would break my heart kung ganon. It's really a national security risk. So I'll be very strict with DFA and with PSA sa inyong you better straighten that out. Yung mga sindikato nandyan sa mga ahensya ng gobyerno na nagbibenta ng mga birth certificates. Thank you, Madam Chair.